Welcome to my first video. I am the Final Fantasy critic. Let's open with a bang. Today we'll be talking about how toxic the Final Fantasy community really is. What's that? Not toxic, you say? Well, listen up, Buttercup. I have news for you. This community has a wank stain, bigger than Jabba the Hutt's fat ass after a feeding frenzy. So pull up a chair. Get your SJW butt ready because we're diving in balls deep. Right, we all know why you're here. You want the juice. Don't worry, I will provide. But first, I want to acknowledge that for the majority, the Final Fantasy XIV community is very welcoming. However, as with anything that casts a bright light, it casts an even bigger shadow. I'll be exposing the truth. The truth is that the Final Fantasy XIV community is a very, very toxic woke community. I bet you're thinking I'm a recent Warcraft refugee with the way I'm talking. Well, surprise motherfucker, I've been playing since the game launched in 2013. So I've seen a lot. And know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm not talking about the recent, most obvious entitled shit where the housing got temporarily disabled and the developers came under fire. No, I'm on about the toxicity that gets ignored or shut down immediately. There are 3 types of toxicity in the Final Fantasy community that I want to cover today, which are the most notable. Number 1. Gatekeeping. Number 2. Making it personal. Number 3. Toxic positivity. Right, you mensch. To get started we will need to dive into the cesspool of the community, and that being the Final Fantasy Reddit. Yes, that Reddit. Gatekeeping. So we'll start with gatekeeping. What is gatekeeping? Gatekeeping is the activity of controlling, and usually limiting, general access to something. So how does this apply to Final Fantasy XIV? There is a term the toxic side of the community that want to protect their safe space uses. Go back to WoW. I just want to say and listen up. To anyone using that term, go and smell some grass, because the shit you are inhaling stinks. I digress. Usually, it's used for anyone complaining about the main scenario quest, combat or just the game, in general. I even had it said to me once. I recall laughing my tits off because I've been playing since 1.0, and this grade A, Plankton, who had been playing since Stormblood, thought they had the authority to say that. They even use that even if the player in question hasn't even played WoW before. The community is so protective of the game, the story and everything to do with it, they cannot accept any criticism even in the slightest form. I think these imbeciles don't realize criticism, in any shape or form, is valid, and sometimes helps improve the playing experience. Just look at the recent modding Clownfest. The developers admit some of their features are lacking, and want to incorporate some of the mod features into the game. Okay, speaking of Warcraft, do you remember the big Warcraft exodus recently bringing Asmongold, Bellula, Pyromancer and many more content creators and players over to the game? Well, we got a great fucking example of gatekeeping then. Do you remember when Asmongold first started playing? He had hordes of fucking mouth-breathing idiots trying to ruin his experience by mounting up on large mounts and standing on top of him so he couldn't see anything, or killing his quest mobs so he couldn't get credit. At first, you probably thought it was his hordes of fans making new accounts. But no, this was mentors and players with some serious game time. It took hours of this before a game master decided to step in and start banning people who tried to intentionally ruin his experience. This isn't the first example of content creators getting gatekeeped either. Do you happen to remember Scott Zone? He was receiving death threats from the community, ultimately making him step away from streaming, and of course Final Fantasy altogether. There have been other cases such as Annie Fuchsia, a large World of Warcraft streamer, being backseated to the point she lost interest in the game. Let's not get started with the lazy peon either. More recently we had the whole Pyromancer situation, where admittedly he did lose his cool over the mod situation. But the community came out witch hunting him and other content creators. That's not to say I defend modding. I think all mods need to be removed, and anyone broadcasting that shit on Twitch probably needs to be punished. However, when people cross the line and start witch hunting, finding out people's personal information, that's making it personal. Speaking about making it personal, do you want to know the main difference between the toxicity from Final Fantasy and other MMOs is? Well, people from the community make it personal and take the toxicity beyond the game. Whereas in comparison, a WoW player will call you a twat and move on. This level of toxicity is far, far worse than anything I have seen from an MMO. Because people have had their lives exposed and ridiculed. Real life relationships torn apart. I am 100% some of you people watching this video have a story to tell regarding this and know exactly what I'm talking about. I came across one person who was shamed on Twitter and socially because they copied a fucking glamour. To the point the entire free company was pulled in to taunt and abuse the girl in question that they had to move servers. Finally, we reach toxic positivity. Well, holy fucking shit, it's time. We've got to the main event. The toxicity most people know about. And I know that this will probably cause quite a bit of controversy, since it's heavily debated. So, with the ever-updating policies regarding toxicity, how are people still toxic? Well, it's called toxic positivity. What is toxic positivity? Well, I'm not sorry to tell you this, but a lot of people who play Final Fantasy XIV are snowflakes. It's just the way it is, and the way the community has evolved with these policies has created a safe space for people. The problem with this is that any small disagreement, say for example you're in a dungeon and a player might not be pulling their weight, if you call them out you can get reported and face being banned or suspended. And this is what plays into toxic positivity. Quite a lot of people are afraid of being banned or speaking out because of how trigger happy people are for reporting any small issue. It has gotten to the point that people are being fake with positivity. Thus essentially the positivity within the community is sometimes a lie. It has created a fucking level of passive aggressive mentality that is prevalent throughout the community. I will quote this one person from Reddit who I feel nails it. While there are obviously toxic players, this number is eclipsed by the amount of plastic kindness in 14. This will not change. As long as these people line the pockets of the devs, they will keep making rules that allow these nice people to wield harassment claims like a cudgel. This is a game where 70% of the player base cannot handle entry-level mechanics at upper levels, do not believe in free speech, and can report people for anything with impunity. Bear in mind that every rule in 14 favors the accuser and not the accused. Reports made against you cannot be tracked by you. Strikes against your account are hidden from you, accrue and last essentially forever. You can be banned, terminated without a warning. I know 2 people this happened to. If you are investigated, you are not made aware of the charges, cannot directly contact the GM handling your case and have zero recourse other than an appeal. You are penalized for every single action. You can be penalized for exiting a duty once, while at the same time can be penalized for remaining in said duty and becoming frustrated. The TOS are deliberately vague and subjective in a community where every single person is defensive, sensitive and protective of their image. People are allowed to group queue and vote kick report others. Harassment claims, which are hilariously subjective, are taken very seriously. As a result, everyone uses this as a weaponized way to go after other players by classifying all criticisms or disagreements as harassment. The majority of players are boosted new players that emphasize glamour over skill level, leading to conflicts in parties and duties. Mediocrity is promoted and standards are viewed as elitism. This is done in an effort to create an artificially even skill level for new players. I have seen no other game or community deliberately silence, report and ban skilled players consistently outside 14. I love this game, but the story level skipping, authoritarian TOS, extremely sensitive community, and lack of emphasis on skill and teamwork has effectively turned the 14 community into a joke. Most veteran players are bitter, angry or left, and many new players pretend that everyone is so nice, while they mass report all detractors for being toxic or harassment. Well, that is all from me. Please do share your stories down in the comments below. I would be very interested to read them. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you didn't, well, I couldn't give a shit. I'm the Final Fantasy critic, your one-stop place for zero woke bullshit. Join me next time, where I'll be exposing the twatting modding community, and the tools these degenerates use. Did you know how much damage these idiots are actually doing to the game and the enjoyment of the player base? Well, look forward to that. Be right back, I'm going to make a 10-minute video about a fucking emote. As that is quality content for those YouTube monies. Peace out, bitches. Oh, before I go, don't forget to like and subscribe. You twat.